topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 30 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. My goal is to show you how to do this. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. My aim is to teach you how to do this. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. That's endtimeissueministries, one word.org. Or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. That's JAMES@endtimeissueministries.org. Today we're going to continue talking about where will you spend eternity, part 4. So the overview, we're looking at what is required in order to qualify to sit on a high throne for eternity. We will continue to look at it's not just heaven or the lake of fire, there is a continuum. I will then state that it is possible to overcome, and I will then discuss what indicators there are about pleasing the Almighty. Finally, we will look at the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator. So this is based on the article 2024-0103, Where Will You Spend Eternity, with commentary on the Final Quest. This is the 3rd edition, originally published in 2004, and this is part 4. We're continuing to look at it is not just heaven or the lake of fire, there is a continuum. We're continuing looking at the reality that there's a wide spectrum of outcomes available for the life of each human being. It is entirely possible for you not to believe. In fact, just about the entire population of planet Earth right now does not believe in the Creator. They may have some muddling thoughts about, yes, there's a God or whatever, but they don't know Yah, the eternally self-existing, the Almighty Creator of the heavens and the earth. The Almighty. They don't know him, and they certainly don't have a relationship with him. Those people are not going to make it into heaven. They're going to end up as ancestor spirits or demons on earth for, at the very least, the rest of this millennium. Is that what you want? When you die, you might end up stuck on your corpse in the grave for a very, very long time. Or you might end up in the crematorium oven for a very long time. Or you might manage to jump off your corpse onto another human being who comes to pay their respects after you die. Probably a good idea to do that. Just keep that in mind if you're not going to believe. Or you might find that you're taken captive by a Satan servant, a witch or a warlock or whatever in the hospital or the undertaker's rooms or the morgue or whatever. And that's if you're a promising demon, if you've sinned quite extensively. Then they'll take you through a really harsh training program, and they'll put you on somebody else to haunt them and lead them astray. So being an unbeliever is not a great thing. And we'll talk more about belief. We've talked more about the place of the outer darkness in heaven and the other ranks in heaven, and we'll carry on today. So consider 1 Peter 1:7, that the trial of your faith, this is now to believers, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found under praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yeshua, the anointed of Yah, Jesus Christ. That's from the Bible, book of 1 Peter 1:7, the epistle of Peter, the letter of Peter. Consider also John 15, verse 6 from the Bible. If a man abide not in me, that's Yeshua, Jesus, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If we do not live life the way the Almighty wants us to live and abide in him through Yeshua, we can be cast forth and burned. The book, The Final Quest, provides considerably more insight into this, and some extracts are presented later in this series. So, if you're a believer and you sin, when you die, you will first spend time in hell paying the price for your sin before you're admitted into heaven. If you really go over the top and blaspheme and disobey Yah as a believer, you will eventually be utterly rejected, and you will be cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where in a moment of torment and terror you will be utterly consumed and destroyed. So I want to go on and say that it is possible to overcome. You've heard me talk a lot about other things, but let's talk about overcoming. In the context of earning a high throne or even earning a place in heaven, consider the following passages. Again, quoting from the Bible, Revelation, book of Revelation, back end of the Protestant Bible, Revelation chapter 2, verse 7. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh, I will give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of Yah. Only those who overcome will get to eat of the tree of life. Now that should be an incentive actually to overcome, I think. Revelation 2:11. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the assemblies or the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Only those who overcome all sin will not be hurt by the second death, hell, as I've just said. So, the tree of life, if you read The Final Quest, there's a very detailed description of the tree of life and the fruit of the tree of life and what it means to be at that level of relationship with Yah. I encourage you to read it. I'm doing a rendering of The Final Quest where I'm putting in my own commentary. It's on the website under the Bible page. I encourage you to read it. I've done the first 2 chapters of the book. I have to do two more tomorrow. So then, continuing, note that those that overcome sin are not necessarily overcomers in terms of rank in heaven. It is possible for those who qualify for the rank of overcomer to have unrepented sin, just as it is possible for those of lower rank to overcome sin in the sense of this verse. In Revelation 2:17, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh I will give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. We may not understand this today. However, it is presented as a significant reward and benefit. An overcomer is somebody who will end up in heaven. You've got a very substantial investment in this life in serving Yah. You've done significant works for him. You have a reasonably substantial relationship with him. You've overcome sin, or you're close to overcoming sin, and fundamentally, if you're going to be an overcomer, you should overcome sin. In fact, if you're going to be a believer at any level, you should overcome sin. It's not that difficult. The trouble is it's all muddied up by all this wrong teaching about 613 mitzvot and the Torah and the this and the that and the Torah compliant and Torah observant and what have you. Folks, there are 10 commandments which Yah in person wrote in stone, which means they never change. It's all he wrote in stone. They're clearly the most important basis of judgment, and I've talked about this before. Sin means you stop breaking the 10 commandments, which means you need to understand the 10 commandments, and then you need to do what's necessary to comply. Not that difficult, but just about nobody does it. And I've talked about it before, and no doubt I'll talk about it again. Then Revelation 2:26-28, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received from my Father, and I will give him the morning star. So those who did not overcome shall be ruled with a rod of iron. That's pretty heavy stuff, folks. If you're pottering along, forgive the pun, and just doing your odd bit here and there for Father and really not making a difference in the world, you're probably not an overcomer. And if you're not an overcomer, well, life's not going to be that great either. It'll be better in heaven than it would be on the earth. So a lot of that verse is talking about the earth and the unbelievers. But also important to understand, if you get to sit on a high throne in heaven, you'll be given rulership over a city or a nation or a constellation or a solar system or whatever. Then Revelation 3:5, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So those who do not overcome will have their names blotted out of the book of life, and they will not have their names confessed before the Father. That's pretty scary stuff, folks. In Revelation 21:7, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his mighty one, or God, and he shall be my son. Those who overcome will inherit all things, and the Almighty will be their mighty one, and they shall be sons of the Almighty. This suggests that those who do not overcome may not inherit anything, and the Almighty might not be their mighty one, or God, and they might not be sons of the Almighty. Collectively, these passages about overcomers present a picture of enormous eternal benefit if one overcomes, and enormous loss if one does not overcome. From these passages, it is clear that the overcomers are those who sit on thrones for eternity. And again, I would encourage you to read the Final Quest. If you go to the website, there's the ETI Bible version, and under that you'll find the Final Quest. Now, you might say to me, why is the Final Quest under the Bible section? Because it is as close to modern scripture as I've ever come across. It's inspired at a significant level. It does contain some error, but so does all this other stuff that's called scripture. I'm correcting wrong language, like equating Yeshua with Yah and things like that. I'm in the process of doing that in the whole Bible. So on the same area, you'll find the entire New Testament with corrections there. At this stage, I've done corrections and commentary up to Philippians, and then I've done some corrections the rest of the way through Revelation, and I've done basic corrections in the Old Testament, Bereshith to Malachi. So you might want to go and read it there. That's the only version of the Bible I know of that's worth reading, if you forgive me for boasting. Not everyone will overcome in every area, and this will result in a further distribution of the continuum within heaven. Some of what is reported in the final quest supports this interpretation, although some passages suggest a more rigid approach. There are a number of distinct ranks in heaven, being number one, friend of the Creator, the most senior overcomers, the highest thrones there are. These people have deep personal relationships with Yah while on earth and made major sacrifices to serve him. Of these, generals are the most senior friends. They actively took the battle to the enemy while on earth, and they achieved notable victories. Then overcomers as a general class, as discussed above the remaining thrones, they did not have a deep personal relationship, but they made major sacrifices and a major impact. Friend is where you want to be. If you're a high achiever on earth, you might want to repurpose your life and reposition your thinking and say, you know what, I can sit on a high throne on earth, but I'm going to die one day and lose it. Or I can scale back my ambitions in the material, physical, financial sense on earth and focus on ambitions towards the Creator. If you really make a difference on earth, if you really lay down your life to serve Yah in this life, you will reap a great reward in the life to come. There's a lot on my website about it. The whole focus of my ministry is around helping people to become friends of Yah, to overcome to the end, to make a difference so that Yeshua can return in victory. Then good and faithful servants. They're not on thrones, but they're immediately in front of the thrones, obedient and faithful in their service of Yah, but no material relationship. Then wise stewards, further away from the throne, but still esteemed. These first four categories are all people who were filled with the Spirit of the Almighty at some level. In other words, they were not virgins. If you'll forgive my metaphor, they have made love to Yah, not in a carnal, sexual way, but in a loving, obedient, worshipful way. They have worshipped intensely. They have asked for infilling of the Spirit. They have been immersed. They have been anointed, and they've received repeated infillings of the Spirit of Yah, and in that way drawn close to Him, but not at the level of a friend. A friend being somebody who converses with Yah and who understands Yah's priorities on earth and prays them into existence, goes out and does things to bring them into existence. We've recently started praying, Father, in the name of Yeshua, we thank you that your will is done on the earth, and in particular, the foretellings in the final quest and the call are realized, and that you raise up emissaries, spokesmen and spokeswomen, prophets and prophetesses, and intercessors to pray your will on earth into existence and to do what needs to be done to bring your will into existence. So the people who are going to do that are these four categories that I've spoken about. And then you get the adulterous wives. They're filled with the Spirit of the Almighty, but they worship Jesus, worship the Bible, worship Muhammad, worship the Quran, etc. When I say worship, they put those people or books on a pedestal. Some people go and call somebody making fun of Muhammad as blasphemy. It's not blasphemy. Blasphemy is taking the name of Yah, the eternally self-existing, in vain, and so forth. Folks, stop it. One mighty one, Yah. Don't take his name in vain, and don't have any idols. And don't make Jesus, the Bible, Muhammad, the Quran an idol. They're just people and just books. Then the foolish virgins, further away from the throne, one step removed from the trash heap. People who believed at some level but were never filled with the Spirit of the Almighty. The vast majority of dedicated church, shul, mosque-going people will find themselves there. And then the outer darkness, far removed from the throne, cannot see the throne. The trash heap of heaven, Yah calls it. All those who at some time made some sort of decision that Yah existed, but never made any attempt after that to serve Yah, learn about him, be filled with his Spirit, etc. The people who are the product of the vast majority of outreaches, missionary works, altar calls, etc., fall into this category. In fact, the vast majority of mission and evangelist work is a total waste of time, just diverting people from the outer reaches of the satanic kingdom to the outer reaches of Yah's kingdom. Now, it's important to understand when we talk about these ranks. Father set out at the beginning to create friends. He recognized that they wouldn't necessarily all get that close, so he had a couple of levels. Over time, he found himself having to deal with people who were less close, made less of a contribution, and so he progressively gave them places further away from the throne. And then he found himself confronted with the harsh reality that there were people who one day said, yes, I believe in the Creator, amen, and did nothing after that. So they didn't qualify for any of the ranks, and he'd run out of places to put them. The only place he could put them was on the trash heap, because that's all that was left. So if you at some stage said, Father God or whatever, I believe you exist, and since then you've done nothing more, you're going to end up in the outer darkness, and you're going to weep and wail and gnash your teeth. It's very, very dark. It's very, very cold. It's very, very unpleasant. And there's a whole lot of people there. When I got a demographic from Father in 2015 in December, he said the 20 million people on earth who, if Yeshua came that day, would end up in the outer darkness. Today it's more, and the number who would make it into heaven are less. If you look at the cover of this broadcast, there's a diagram of a mountain and a line with statistics on it and the different categories that in December 2015 would make it into heaven from the people on earth there. The number of people who make it into heaven has decreased. The number of people who won't make it into heaven, as the population keeps growing, so they just keep growing. At this point, it seems less important to understand the finer nuances of the law, the commandments, than to understand the broad principles and to make a choice whether to make a concerted effort to seek to please the Almighty and seek to earn a position on a throne for eternity, versus taking some other view of how one chooses to live one's life. It's important to understand that we know so little about the ways of the Almighty in this age that simply deciding to seek a high throne is not enough. One must be willing to pray differently, live differently, act differently, believe differently. One must be willing to embark on radical change and carry it out and live it through to the very last day of one's life. See the article 7 Components in Growing Close to Yah on the website for more information. There is no guarantee that anyone can achieve a high throne. We can aspire, and if we truly aspire and truly commit ourselves to seeking to please the Almighty in everything, there is a basis to conclude that we will at least enter heaven for eternity. Folks, I want to be clear. My message is not to those people who think it's okay to go to church on Saturday or shul on to church on Sunday or shul on Saturday or mosque on Friday or whatever. And that's it. This is to people who are prepared to change their lives. This is for people who are prepared to spend an hour, 2 hours a day on their knees talking to Father. Spend an hour, 2 hours a day per day worshiping Father. Spend an hour, 2 hours more reading about the matters of Yah, learning about Yah, putting it into practice, and then doing other things to help advance the kingdom of Yah, teaching others, ministering to others, praying with and for others. If you want a high throne, you are going to have to work for it. There's a lot of wrong thinking about grace and salvation is not earned. True, salvation is not earned, but a high throne is earned. If you aspire to be a friend of Yah, you better do something to look like a friend of Yah. And that means you talk to him, you converse with him, you understand his objectives on earth, you understand the constraints that he operates under, you work to relax those constraints, you work to pray his will on earth, and you work to do things that help other people grow close to him. This is so important. You have the opportunity to trade your life for Yah in this life, which could be quite rough and tough, in order to qualify for a high throne for eternity. So do you want some glory from men for the next few years, and then something mediocre in heaven, or not even make it into heaven? Or do you want to be in heaven on a high throne? It's up to you. So what are the indicators about pleasing the Almighty? There are some verses that give indications of individuals who please the Almighty. Hebrews 11, 1-40 says, provides quite a lengthy catalog of people for reference and indicates that faith is a vital component of pleasing the Almighty. This article on which this broadcast is based, Where Will You Spend Eternity, with commentary on the Final Quest, is on the website. It's fairly close to the top on the menu. I've only lifted out certain verses out of Hebrews 1-40. The full passage of Hebrews 11, 1-40 is on the website, and obviously you can go to pretty much any Protestant Bible and get it. So Hebrews 11 verse 1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Verse 6, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yah must believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Verse 16, but now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly, wherefore Yah is not ashamed to be called their mighty one, or God incorrectly, for he hath prepared for them a city. So faith is about believing things that Yah has shown you, that you've been told about, that you can't see, you can't touch. Many years ago, after I'd done some fairly ambitious things for Yah, somebody who met me had a dream in which they saw me stepping off the edge of a cliff into space. And as I stepped out, the ground came up to meet me, and to me that spoke of the extent to which I had gone out by faith and done things that didn't make any sense to people around me. So you can do that. Then coming back to verse 17, by faith Abram, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son. 35, women received their dead raised to life again. Others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. 36, and others had a trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover of bonds and imprisonment. 37, they were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented. 38, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and caves of the earth. So there's some pretty tough stuff there, folks, about people who really were regarded as an example of living by faith. Are you willing, do you believe strongly enough in the reward that's awaiting you for you to go through some of these things? Now, it's my contention is of another verse which says that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Every tongue that rises against you in unrighteous judgment will be refuted. Your messengers encamp around me to protect me. So if you're free of sin, the forces of darkness can't touch you. So you don't have to go through those things. You can walk in victory and be a powerful example. It's really important to notice that at times all of these people suffered for their faith and made sacrifices, some more than others. I've made substantial sacrifices. I've gone about 7 years where I had no employment, and I just devoted all my time to serving Yah and writing about him and his kingdom and writing answers to questions that came my way. It hasn't been easy, but I believe it's worth it. None of them lived according to the standards of the world in which they lived. All of them chose to live life differently to those around them, no matter what it cost them, even if they were stoned or sawn apart while alive. There's a reasonable basis to conclude that the people mentioned above are, at least at some level, represent overcomers. We may not understand why some names are on this list and others are not, and that is not the point. We can learn lessons, and we can learn that service to Yah demands a price in this life. If you are going to church or synagogue or mosque or temple or wherever, and you think that you can just happily go and sit in a seat and listen to somebody else talk to you on the basis of some sort of relationship that they may or may not have with Father, and you think that something really nice is going to happen when you die, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You need to make an effort. You need to do some things. If you're not prepared to do that, just be satisfied. I'm going to end up as a foolish virgin, or I might end up in the trash heap of heaven, the outer darkness, or I might not make it at all. And maybe that doesn't faze you, in which case I can't help you. Following are a few specific cases. Book of James, chapter 2, verse 23. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yah, and was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Yah. So there's an example. Somebody challenged me a few weeks ago and said, this stuff that you're talking about, a relationship with Yah, where is it in the Bible? Well, firstly, it doesn't have to be in the Bible, because the Bible is not comprehensive. It's not definitive. It's just a book. But secondly, here we have it in the Bible that Abram was called the friend of Yah. So Abram was called the friend of Yah. The life of Abram is certainly a frame of reference. Even if we think Abram missed it a few times, or are things we do not understand about what Abram did. In Genesis 32, verse 28, and he said, this is Yah, thy name shall be no more called Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with Yah and with men, and hast prevailed. So Jacob or Jacob, Israel, had power with the Almighty. This is another frame of reference, even if there are things we think he may have missed or which we don't understand, and it's advisable not to speak ill of him. So here's another individual that interacted with Yah at a very intimate level and had a very substantial standing with Yah, so much so that Jacob, Israel, became the father of 12 tribes, that became the nation of Israel, that had favor and privilege with Yah. It's really important that in considering all these people that we remember Romans 14, verse 4. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall be holden up, for Yah is able to make him stand. It really is not our place to judge any of these people. I fairly regularly encounter people who are judging this one, judging that one, this one's this one's that. I've come across a few people recently who say that Paul, not really an apostle, that he was a this and a that and a whatever and what have you. The fact of the matter is, Rick Joyner in the Final Quest says he's sitting on one of the highest thrones in heaven. So you need to be very careful about what you say about other people. A few more examples. Exodus 33:11. And Yah the eternally self-existing spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. This is a remarkable testimony with regard to the relationship between Moshe, Moses, and the Almighty. Speaketh unto him as unto a friend. In other words, he was a friend. I can't make it more clear, folks. Moshe had that level of relationship. He did mighty miracles. And that's available to you if you choose to go all out to become a friend. In 1 Samuel 13, verse 14, Samuel speaking to Saul, and referring to David states, but now thy kingdom shall not continue. Yah the eternally self-existing hath sought him a man after his own heart. And Yah the eternally self-existing hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which Yah the eternally self-existing commanded thee. David is referred to here as a man after the Almighty's own heart. And Shaul is rejected after only a few years as king. Again, a useful frame of reference. David is not a man whose life it is wise to condemn or preach against. He may have done some things which we understand to be mistakes. However, there is considerable evidence that the Almighty was pleased with David. 1 Kings 15:5 confirms this. Because David did that which was right in the eyes of Yah, the eternally self-existing, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. So he made one mistake. The whole thing of adultery with Bathsheba, getting Uriah murdered. Save for that, he was a man after Yah's own heart, and he did what was right in the eyes of Yah. So I anticipate that if you make it into heaven, you're going to find Israel, Yaakov, David, Abraham, all sitting on high thrones. This brings us to Yeshua, of whom it is written in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 17. For he received from Yah the Father honor and glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Insofar as the Almighty saw fit to say of Yeshua on at least one occasion publicly that he, the Almighty, was well pleased with him, Yeshua, it is clear that Yeshua provides a valuable source of information regarding what is required to please the Almighty, and therefore, by extension, what is required to overcome and sit on a high throne for eternity. Now, it turns out from Joiner in the final quest that Yeshua is sitting on the highest throne in heaven, because he is the exemplary example of an overcomer and a friend. When Yeshua was dying on the stake, just before he gave up the ghost, he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which translates as, according to most Bibles, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But in actual fact, if you understand the Hebrew more clearly, Eli is my beloved mighty one, my darling mighty one. So what Yeshua was saying when Father took his spirit away from him, my darling, why have you forsaken me? Can you imagine what it would be like to be at such a level of relationship with Yah that you call him your darling? Can you imagine what that means to him? And it's available to you if you make the effort. I will continue with this next week. So I want to wrap up by asking you, what is the state of your relationship with your mighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Yah, the Creator. Do you talk to him constantly throughout the day and allow him to lead you in every possible way? Are you conscious of him at all times? Do you worship him at every opportunity? And I'm not talking about a couple of minutes a day. I'm talking about all day, every day, in every possible way. I have a little MP3 player which plays 24/7 with 2 earbuds, and I carry it around in my top pocket during the day. And every moment that I have a spare moment, I pop it in my ear, listen to a worship song. I've got about 40 worship songs that I've selected there on the website if you want to download them. Even if it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 or 3 minutes, while I eat supper or lunch. And at night it's on my bedside table and it plays low volume for Yah all night. And then I have a sound system on my desk and I play those worship songs whenever I'm not on a call with a client. Are you doing that? Do you count him your friend? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you'll be bitterly disappointed when you die. And I have to say to you, if you think he's called you friend, the fact of the matter is, according to him, there are not very many friends on the planet. So you need to be doing something significant in order for him to call you friend. All the things I've just mentioned. A true friend is at a level where you can have a dialogue with Yah. You can walk down the street talking to Yah. That's what we're talking about. So in closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. That's JAMES@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list, also at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you desire to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know and I can connect with you by Skype, Zoom, Teams, email, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. So I'm going to say good night in a minute to those of you who listen to this program regularly. If you're new here, if this is your first time or you've been here only once or twice, I'd ask you to stay on after I greet the regulars. I've got a bit more that I'd like to share with you. But the key thing, folks, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, tall or short, thin or fat, African, Asian, European, Caucasian, American, Indian, whatever. It doesn't matter whether you're a Satanist, a witch, a warlock, a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, Baha'i, Buddhist, whatever. Father Yah wants you to become his friend. That's why we were created. I encourage you today to get on your knees and say, Father Yah, in the name of Yeshua, James Robertson says, I can become your friend. I want to become your friend. Show me what to do. Show me how to do that. Take me by my hand and lead me. So to those of you who are leaving, I'm going to say good night. For the rest of you, please hang on for a sec. In closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 30 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993 when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure, born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor and preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, on the website for an overview of what I believe. It's right up at the top of the menu. Please visit the website www.endtimeissueministries.org to get a lot of information. There's massive articles and web pages there. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of key translation errors is available on the ETI Bible version page. Recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio in quotes, and also transcripts on the transcripts of broadcast page, and also the audios. Books with teachings from 1998 till May 2019 are at the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. You can find me also on LinkedIn, james.robertsoneti, or Facebook, also james.robertsoneti. Visit the website and use the Google search, the article keyword cloud, table of contents, and article search to locate the information you're looking for. That's all for now. I hope you found this valuable. I hope to see you on the call next week. Good night.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi, I'm James Robertson. I want to ask you, where will you spend eternity? And then ask you if you know what is required in order to qualify to sit on a high throne for eternity. If you're not actively seeking a high throne for eternity, you're missing the point of your existence. Please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com radio or talk4tv.com TV. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. You can also find me on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Facebook, look for james.robertsoneti. And on YouTube, look for ETI Ministries. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again shortly. Good day.